Hey guys, welcome back to Flying in Space with Planet Head. Today we will not be flying in space and planet in space while I'm doing this video. I'm gonna be doing a Corp video today explaining how to produce possibly, this may be the best way or not the best way, but how to produce fleet ships for your corporation. How to set up permissions so that your production guys can have access to certain areas, how to set up permissions so that your fleet members can get access to those free ships or ships that you're setting up for a an op, and all sorts of things along those lines. Um, Now, this is probably just one way you could do it. I'm sure there's other ways you could do this. One issue that I run into is I don't play like 4 of the days out of my week. I've only got maybe half an hour to an hour that I can really get on and work on the corporation. So trying to set something up that everyone will have access to while I'm not around, and making it easy for them to be able to go out and do their own ops if they need a free ship. The other part was to come up with a ship plan that, or a ship fit that would be accessible to almost every type of new player to the game or returning player. So if somebody wanted to roll up a new character, they could almost instantaneously um, be able to fly in a fleet. So if somebody said they wanted to join up with a fleet, basically they would just have to pick um, their race, join in, and then grab a tackle frigate to be able to fly along. What I focused on with that ship fit was the tackle and the uh, the tank of the ship, to be very, very simple. And then if you watched a couple videos ago, I made it the M.I.A ship. So in other words, if somebody were to create a new character as Caldari, basically they'd have to spend that like 15 minutes to get their M.I.A level 1 set up for frigates. Um, and then they can roll along. But as a corp leader or corp person, um, we need to actually make it available to them to get those ships, so as quickly as possible. So what I've gone ahead and done is we did set up our rental office out here in Pator. And before I go any farther, I just want to say this is one way of doing it. There's a lot of other ways of doing it. This was the simplest way to do it as an alpha character. Um, I know that the big corporations and the big alliances out there do a lot of third party stuff. They'll also set up contracts and things like that. This is just getting us up and running. The Corp has been around for about a week now, and we're kind of planning on doing maybe our first organized op this weekend, if not the next weekend. And then after that, I'd like it to be able to be ad hoc anytime somebody wants to do it, and then have a scheduled one. So, long story short, let's try to get into it here. So, what I've gone ahead and done is I've set up different hangars. We rented the office here in Pator, and I set up an office that was as somewhat equidistant between um, most of the whatchamacallit, the trade hubs, Jita and Amar and Dodixie and Renz, so that if people need to go to those trade hubs to get anything, they can. It's closer to Renz, but it's not too far away from the other ones going as crow flies, which everybody seems to like so far. Um, the second part I did was I set up some rental office, or some offices within the, or I'm sorry, hangars within the rental office that we got. This gives people access to some areas, while at the same time maybe doesn't give them access to others. Um, to give you an example, Made in a division hanger called Donations, Free Stuff for All. Basically, we drop anything into this hanger, and anyone can take or get anything from it. I've told everyone that if somebody wants to come in and just grab it all and go sell it, they can if they need that ISK. So literally, the only reason to throw something in here is kind of if you don't need it, or I have a lot of junk lying around with all my characters. Maybe I'll just throw them in here, and if somebody needs it, or if they want to sell it off, that's cool. It's just time consuming for me to hold on to, especially when you're doing some of these missions and you get some of the stuff that you get. Second area here will be very important down the road. I call them WDF generators, and that's going to be important. I'll explain that here in a little while. Third one here is production materials. Now, this isn't fully set up. What basically, I'm going to go ahead and drop this over here into the donations bin. This will be filled out, these are BPOs. It'll actually be filled up with BPCs once I open it up to some of our production guys. But basically, I'll show you guys how to set up where, let's say you have 50 members of your corp, and 5 of them are doing production for the corporation to make your fleets and things like that. What I've done is I've gone ahead and set up this production area and to be able to give access to those guys who would need access to be able to build things. And we're going to actually build something here in a little while. The main thing here is I'm going to build stuff with these BPOs that I'll probably take them out and make copies of these BPOs and throw them back in here. That way, you never want to have BPOs out there for anyone to be able to access. You can give access to people for those, but you want to be very careful with this because BPOs are incredibly important to not only the corporation, but they're time consuming to do. So, but you can always put BPCs in here for anybody to create. But this would be your fleet area where you would be building stuff. We're going to build something here in a little while. The prize box I actually made just for random stuff that we get, that if we do corporate events, we can dole out prizes to people as they come along. You know how you get these like Proton S's, domination stuff, and maybe some implants. This might not be real helpful for a lot of people, but as it grows, I've gotten some random, really expensive stuff that I'll never end up using. So we can always throw it into this box. It's locked up right now, but I'm going to make it so everybody can view it. And then if somebody wants to actually use something from here, or we can, if we have a corporate event, we can say this is up for first prize, this is up for second prize, that sort of thing. And then finally, the fleet hanger. Whenever we build stuff from the production materials hanger, we'll throw it into the fleet hanger and give everyone access to those ships who are either going on the op or just being available to be used at any point in time. Now, the big thing you want to be very careful of with the fleet hanger is you don't want expensive ships in there all the time. I'm going to be throwing in there some super inexpensive tackle frigates. I'm going to try to have 2 in there at all times, so that if anybody boots in, they can jump into a ship right away. And they don't have to worry about going and buying one for themselves. So we're going to go ahead and I'll show you why the WDF generators are so important to the production materials. Then we're going to go ahead and produce a production material or produce a ship through the production materials box. And we're going to throw that into the fleet hanger. And I'll show you guys how to set up the permissions for getting in and out of that fleet hanger, ships that you may need. So, that said, why do I have this WDF generator here? What I ended up doing, if you're flying out in low sec or some other areas, randomly, some of these WDF generators will drop. They're warp disruption field generators. Now, they're pretty expensive. If you notice, the established estimated value of it is 4.7 million ISK. Now, I'm not going to go into what these generators do. What I'm going to say is what I've always used them for is I don't actually sell them. I actually have being a scavenger at heart. if you've watched my videos over the last year, I almost always melt them down so I can make something out of them. Why? And it's probably why they're so expensive, is if you show their info here, and then you go into industry, it'll show you everything that it takes to build one of these generators. Now you randomly get these from little, sometimes frigates and destroyers, when you're doing sites or even asteroid belts. They can just pop up. But basically, if I melt this down and reprocess it, I'll get half of everything that's here. And if you notice, it's basically all of your basic materials from titanium all the way down to megasite. And I'm going to pull up one other thing here. Let's see here. Do I have... I'll go into the production materials bin, and we'll show the blueprint for the executioner. This is a tackle frigate that we're going to build today. I'm going to show you the info on it. Oops, dang it. I need to spacebar that one, or shift that one. If you hit shift bar, just a little trick. If you don't know it, you can open up a separate window. I'll just put that right next to it. There we go. So if you notice right here, what it makes to make an executioner. So if I am getting half of this, so I'm going to be getting about 33,000 titanium. It takes 31,000 to make a executioner. Need some coffee. Talking too much. As you can see here, pyrite, I'm going to be getting about 18,000 out of the warp disruption field generator. And we're going to be, it takes 5,000. You get the gist. Basically, melting one of these down will give me enough of the materials to build a full frigate, executioner tackle frigate, plus some of the parts that I need to fit that sucker out. So how do we do that? Well, it's pretty simple. And I'll just show you here as an example. Show info. Actually, we'll go ahead and pull up the production for the executioner. We're going to build 2 of these today, because I want to have 2 set up for the corporation going forward. Goes a little bit slower whenever I'm doing videos, sorry. There we go. So we're going to be doing 2 of these. Notice I don't have enough isogen right now. And I'm actually don't have if I want to build 2 of these, I don't have enough titanium, Mexilon, or isogen. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is go into my warp drive generators and going to reprocess these. By reprocessing them, it does cost me a little bit of ISK. I'm not too worried about it. It's 172. It's not, you know, you go blow up one regular cruiser and get 172. It's going to give me all this right here. So basically half of the materials to make it. I'm doing 2 of them, so I'm getting the full amount. We're going to reprocess that. Now, the one thing that you have to be really careful, and it's probably why I will only be the only one that has access to the WDF generators bin, unless there's somebody down the road who becomes very important to the production side. Maybe if I put a director in charge of the productions, is it will drop it, when you reprocess out of there, it will drop it straight into your personal item hanger. So in other words, boom, suddenly it's all gone and reprocessed. So in other words, I could come in here to the donation area and just reprocess everything, and suddenly it's all gone. Here we go. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is move all of this, because it is all the Corp stuff, and move it right back over in here into production materials. Now I will say this, and I'm not going to be able to recreate this because unfortunately I wasn't thinking before I made the video. When you do, all this stuff is now here. When you do create this stuff, you can set it to go to your corporate box here, your office, your division, your whatever, hangar. There we go. There's the word I'm looking for. Now, I built a couple of these things already, items that we need to do, but what I'm going to go ahead and do is build 2 cruisers. Use the blueprint. I'm going to build 2 of them there. And we've got this jobs. Good. I think there is, I want to say, yeah, input material location is coming from here. And then here you would choose where you want your output to go. Now, I want it to go to the production materials because that's where I'm going to then fit the ship out of whenever I get done. If I wanted to just create a bunch of ships all at once, I could set it to go to my fleet hangar. Since it is a corporate thing, it has to go to a hangar here, but I'm going to keep it in the production materials area. And we're going to go ahead and hit start. And that's going to take 3 hours because I have really bad alpha skills for production. We're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to build ourselves some warp disruptors. Start. Oh, we need 2 of them. Good. And we're going to go to the explosive armor. Use blueprint. And we're going to do 2 of these. Complete it. Now, if you notice the blueprints I have here, they're all about tackle, webifying, and damage control. And I made them passive damage control only for the effect of that when somebody first boots damage armor control, because it does a couple of things, and we'll probably change this fit up down the road, but I want to keep it as simple as possible for possibly new characters or returning characters to be able to jump into. I didn't make it active because it's less buttons to push. I also did not put on armor because that will increase or decrease the speed of the ship and agility of the ship. Basically going for as fast and as easy to fly that could then tackle people going after people. Talked about that in the video before, and then I came up with this afterward. Again, we'll probably tweak this. I'll get some ideas from the other Corp members, that sort of thing. When those items actually get done, they will drop into this bin. Okay? And then, just to give you an example here, I will go in. There's my Velator. You know, you get your free Corvette. Let's give this as an example. There's my Velator. It is now in the productions bin. What I will end up doing is once it's built, I'll end up fitting this out. And then I will take that fitted executioner and drop it into the fleet hangar. And then it will be a fitted out, just to show you guys here, a fitted out executioner that anybody can go with. Again, there's probably other faster ways to do this, but trying to make it as quickly as possible. In other words, somebody can boot in. If they're not a M.I.A, they can train up within 15 minutes at level 1 a M.I.A skill, and then as they're probably flying to Pator, by the time they got to Pator, they could then have access to the hangar, which I could give them, and then at that point they could just grab a ship and go. Or basically anybody else could do that. I'm going to try to fly these a lot as our fleet goes going forward, to try them out. I'm going to keep using my main character. If we want to join up with any other fleets or have any of our Corp members use any of their other characters, this is something that I can do so that they don't have to worry about tackling people, that sort of thing. And then we can keep working on the fit and messing around with it for a little while. Now here's the question. How do I make it accessible? This is where we get into the Corp setup part of it. So how do I make it accessible for members to be able to get these ships? So what I can do is I can come over here and I can go to members. And then it's got a list of all the members here. Now notice I've got the donations bin where everyone has access to it. And they can put stuff in there, they can take stuff out, and they can see what's in there. The WGF generators, I've made it so that everyone can see everything in there, but they can't put any they can't take anything from it, and they can't take the entire container. If you can see, you can always put stuff into a container. Same thing with the production. Everybody can see what's there, just can't pull anything out. Down the road, once we get some production guys into the corporation, I can give each individual person access to it. So let's say I wanted to give AF Prime access to this bin. I would just click on these and hit save. And now AF Prime now has access to picking out things from there and being able to do production from it. Obviously, the prize box here, we need to give everybody access to see if we get any weird things that we can use for prizes, that sort of thing, or if somebody needs something. Down the road, I mean, long term, it'd be kind of cool to be able to say if somebody got like a really weird ship, or if somebody was leaving the game altogether, if they wanted to donate stuff to the corporation, we could throw it to the prize box area. And then as people need stuff, dole it out. Don't know, just something that might be helpful. But now everyone has access to see the prize box. As far as the fleet hangar, now this is where it gets a little bit tiresome as a CEO, and there's probably ways that I could set up roles and other things for each member so I don't have to click through all of this every time. But what I'm going to go ahead and do is give everyone view access to this right now. And then once we get off the video, I'm not going to waste your time, but while I'm doing it here, I will give everyone access to the fleet hangar to grab things from it. But right now, I'm just going to do it for AF Prime so I can use it as an example. There we go. So now AF Prime can get access to the fleet hangar. So what I'll go ahead and do is log off and log in as AF Prime, and I'll show you guys. Now it isn't as simple as just dragging the ship, if I'm not mistaken. It's more of you have to actually send it to yourself or deliver it to you. I think if you have access to it, like AF Prime does now, if you have, let's say there's a fleet going, and I give certain people access to that hangar, I could have that person send it to people, send items to people within the corporation who don't have access to the hangar, if you understand what I'm saying. I'm not 100% sure, as you know. I'm not the best at doing this. I'm doing this trial by fire. But so now we're on here as AF Prime. You notice that I talked about this the other day. I've got a couple of different options here, but if you notice, the don't have access to at all, either to see or look into the 6th and the 7th divisions. I can actually see the WDF generator. Notice I removed both of those two out. But the prize box I can see, but I can't pull anything from there because I don't have access. But the fleet hangar, remember Clarence's Velator here? We can go ahead and drag it on over. And now I can jump into his ship. Boom. And now I've got, so let's say I boot in, ease of simple, let's say I boot in as a Galente, and I set my direction to Paytor. I make a brand new character, and then as I'm flying there, I change my, or I add in M.I.A Frigate 1, and by the time I fly and get there, there's a very good chance that I could be able to fly the Executioner and be able to fleet up right away. Now, one last thing, and this is one thing I wanted to try. I haven't done this yet, but let's say this was in the fleet hangar. Okay. Oops. Oh, I'm actually I'm actually in the ship. I got to leave the ship. So leave the ship. Can't fly between the fleet hangars. That's pretty funny. So now I'm out of the ship. I'm going to drop this back into the fleet hangar. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I can send this to somebody. So let's say I'm not on, but another Corp member has access to the fleet hangar, and somebody joins the game right away. What I would really like to see happen is, let's say they've been accepted into the corporation, but they don't have access to that fleet hangar yet. What you can do is, let's say I'm Bob of the corporation. I'm another guy who's playing the game. He's part of our corporation. He can actually deliver this ship to another member. Notice here I can send it to Draw Yurt or something along those lines. I can literally send it to them, so they don't have to actually have access to the hangar. There just has to be somebody who does. So, but that's the last part of it. That's all I got for today. Almost up on 30 minutes. So we'll go ahead and end her off. I am going to go hit the library up today. Hang out with that. I already played with the dog outside and did some work, so I'm feeling comfortable with that. Did some laundry. So that's all I got. You guys have a great day. This is my last day off. Then I go back to work, so I'll have a little bit of limited time over the next couple of days. Just a shout out to the Corp members. Our first Corp meeting, or my first open office hours in the Corp Discord chat will be this sorry this Sunday from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. If you don't know already, I need to be off at 8 o'clock on the dot. Oh, Eastern time, so that would be 2300 Eve time. Just for because The Last of Us, the final episode for this season, is on at 9, so I need to get myself in mentally ready to deal with the pain and anguish of one more episode of that show. Episode 8 was amazing, so that's all I got to say about that. So, hey guys, that's all I got. Fly safe, fly dangerously, fly however you want. If you have any ideas or pointers or thoughts, I'm sure there are better ways of doing this. It's just one way as an alpha character that you can do this. Please feel free to message me in game at Clarence Pilgrim or William Pilgrim, or you can actually, it'd be even better to post it on YouTube so other people can learn from it. Or if you want to join the Discord channel is in the description. Post it right in there. We've got a lot more people in it recently, and it's been freaking awesome. So fly safe, fly dangerously, and have a good one. Fly safe, fly dangerously, fly however that you want. Have a good one. See you later.